Tonight, investigators searching for answers after a mass shooting in Boulder.
We had a very tragic incident today here at the King Soopers.
Shoppers rush to escape as the gunfire begins.
The shooter came in, shot the woman in front of them.
Among the dead, a Boulder police officer. A crime that stunned people in their usually quiet community.
It doesn't feel like there's anywhere safe anymore sometimes.
From Copter 4 tonight, the procession for a fallen Boulder police officer. Hundreds of officers from across the Front Range followed the body being carried in an ambulance to show their respect. Officer Eric Talley was one of 10 people killed in those shootings at a King Soopers. He was 51 years old and with the Boulder Department since 2010.
One person is in custody tonight, but police have not confirmed his name just yet. But Copter 4 was overhead when police were seen leading a man out of the store in handcuffs. You can see the injury there to his leg. Police received their first calls for the shooting around 2:30 this afternoon. Officer Talley was first on the scene. It is credited for saving lives. So far, investigators have not released a motive.
We have several reports for you tonight with stories from people inside the store and more on that procession for Officer Talley. Our Alan Janae leads off with the very latest on this investigation. Alan?
Well, Jim, police have yet to release the identities of 9 out of the 10 victims here, but we do know, as you just said, the identity of the police officer. A veteran, a man who is now being remembered as a hero here. Witnesses have told us that the gunshots came so close together, they thought there were multiple shooters. But Boulder police tonight said this appears to be the work of a lone gunman.
First thing I want to say is I want to say our hearts of this community go out to the victims of this horrific incident.
6 hours after the shootings unfolded, police revealed just how bad it was. Boulder Police Chief Maris Harold talked about the loss to the community and her department.
We know of 10 fatalities at the scene, including one of our Boulder PD officers by the name of Eric Talley.
Talley was the first officer there after 911 lines lit up with reports of a shooting at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Shots fired in the area and a phone call about a possible person with a patrol rifle.
Witnesses say it started outside and the gunman went inside and kept shooting.
I want to reassure the community that they are safe and that we will try to do our best over the next few hours to identify the victims.
A long night is ahead and many days of investigation.
These were people who going about their day, doing their food shopping, and their lives were cut abruptly and tragically short.
DA Michael Doherty is just starting a case in another mass shooting in Colorado.
I promise the victims and the people of the state of Colorado that we will secure justice and do everything we must do to get justice in this case.
Now, police have not yet confirmed that the man we saw in that video in handcuffs was, in fact, their suspect. But they did say only one person was left injured in all of this, and that is the suspect. And that person in that video appears to be injured. The police will be working with the coroner's office to identify the victims and inform the families. 9 families getting the worst of news. A lot of tears yet to fall. In Boulder, I'm Alan Janae, covering Colorado First.
Tonight, Boulder Police Officer Eric Talley is being remembered for his bravery and his service. Boulder Police Chief says he was the first one to respond to that scene today. He was 51 years old. Hundreds of emergency vehicles from agencies around Colorado lined the streets in Boulder tonight in a procession to escort the fallen officer from King Soopers to the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. Andrea Flores was there tonight as community members also lining the street to honor the officer, Officer Talley. And of course, Andrea, this is always a somber scene.
Kelly, it was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop as the procession made its way through the intersection here at Table Mesa and Broadway. And you can see this intersection mostly reopened at this hour, but so many people in this neighborhood still asking why after the gunman opened fire at their neighborhood grocery store.
just keeps going.
Boulder resident Bruce Edwards is honoring a Boulder police officer killed in the line of duty.
And I just want to honor the responders and honor the officer that lost their life.
The officer was one of 10 people killed during a shooting at a King Soopers in Boulder. The community came together for a procession.
It happens within a mile from where my girlfriend and I live. I'm thankful that they keep us safe.
Bad day in Boulder, man. Bad day in Boulder.
Zachary Smith, a Boulder resident, also showed up to the scene to pay his respects.
I lived in Boulder 23 years, born and raised here. Mom went to CU. Dad's a police officer in Adams County, and I've never seen anything like this. Never. It hits home because he puts on his uniform every day. That could have been him. He could have been the officer that got shot.
As Colorado reflects on a devastating day in Boulder, residents are thankful to the men and women who rushed in to save lives.
They have a community behind them that supports them.
And again, a very different scene from what we saw here earlier today. Some traffic has been allowed back through the area, but we are still seeing a pretty big law enforcement presence here that will likely last into the overnight hours. Earlier today, Boulder PD said this investigation will take at least 5 days to complete. Reporting live in Boulder tonight, I'm Andrea Flores covering Colorado First.
Word of the shooting sparked a massive law enforcement response to that King Soopers. Our Connor McHugh was the first CBS 4 journalist on the scene, and he is there again tonight. And Connor, you talked to many people who just couldn't believe a simple trip to the supermarket ended like this.
Yeah, Jim, one person we spoke with was here simply to get a bag of chips, and another person had a family member coming here to get their COVID vaccine. Each one saw and heard the stuff of nightmares as this community hub became a deadly crime scene.
Heard, one loud bang, thought somebody just dropped something.
Harrowing moments at the Table Mesa King Soopers in Boulder as armed police swarmed outside and customers sprinted away from an active shooter.
We ran to the back of the store and, found our way into the employee back of house.
Ryan Borowski says while the gunfire continued at the other side of the store, customers and employees helped each other to safety.
Somebody had their hand on my back, I had my hand on somebody's back, and we were just saying, go, 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 run. When we got to the back of the store, there were employees who still didn't know what was going on, and we just told them to run.
Across the building, this man's son-in-law stared death in the face while he waited with his daughters to get a COVID shot.
The shooter came in, shot the woman in front of them. They hid, ran upstairs or hiding in a coat closet for the last hour.
As the family hid and texted loved ones updates, SWAT teams from across the metro area responded with force and negotiation, eventually taking the alleged shooter into custody and ushering people away.
Can't believe it's happening in Boulder, honestly.
10 people, including a Boulder police officer, lost their lives. Many more will forever be scarred.
When it's your family, you feel it.
Now, as you can see, it is still an active scene out here as this long investigation is still in its early phases. Tonight, the DA says he has the full cooperation of local, state, and federal authorities, and they pledge to ensure justice is served. Live tonight in Boulder, Connor McHugh covering Colorado First.
Connor, thank you. An endless stream of condolences being offered to the Boulder community tonight as this awful news continues to develop. Many longtime residents reeling after this horrific shooting. Tori Mason with more on these reactions tonight. And Tori, our governor has called Boulder home for a long time.
He has, Kelly, and over the next couple of days, we're going to learn more about these victims and what they meant to this community. But tonight, we just mourn this tremendous loss. If you look behind me here, Boulder's Flagstaff Star is lit this evening to honor the 10 lives that were taken here this afternoon. The CU Event Center was briefly used as a reunification spot for friends and family of those who were at King Soopers. We're also told that victim advocates and mental health resources were made available as well. Governor Jared Polis released a statement this afternoon saying, quote, "My heart is breaking as we watch this unspeakable event unfold in our Boulder community. We are making every public safety resource available to assist the Boulder County Sheriff's Department." Representative Joe Neguse says he's also prepared to support authorities in days ahead. He wrote, "Today's events are simply devastating. Like my fellow Coloradans, my heart is heavy in grief and in anguish." He went on to say, while there is still a lot we do not know, one thing is very clear. Tragic incidents of gun violence have plagued our country far too long. Now, Neguse also went on to encourage the Boulder community to utilize some of the mental health resources that are made available to them. We'll post that information on cbsdenver.com. We're live in Boulder. Tori Mason, covering Colorado First.